Marvel fans, this one is crazy. We just got some insane reports about Scarlett Johansson being in the next two Avengers movies, and there's another report that's tied closely to this that explains Marvel's plan to bring back all of the OG Avengers. And I think that this information is heavily implying that they will all come back for dual roles, and that there will be evil variant versions of the original Avengers that are working for Dr. Doom. So in this video, I want to break down all of these new reports, but I want to give you the context. I want to fill in some of the gaps because I've been following all of these rumors and Marvel Studios itself way too closely for years. I'm going to help all of you understand what's actually going on with these reports. Okay, so the first thing to talk about is a new report from Daniel RPK, very reliable scooper in the scene. In his new report, Daniel RPK said that Scarlett Johansson is expected to return in both Avengers Doomsday and in Avengers Secret Wars. Now, this news didn't really pop. I think a lot of us expected this to be the case. There were rumors going back to even a year ago that Scarlett Johansson was making a return to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Recently on the Hot Mic podcast, when discussing the news about Chris Evans returning, Jeff Snyder said that he believed Natasha Romanoff and Scarlett Johansson would both make a return because it would feel weird if all the other OG Avengers returned, but like not her. And so many people took this to not be the most groundbreaking news, but essentially just be another little thing that confirms that the OG Avengers are coming back. But now I want to go over this. This came out from Alex Perez and the Cosmic Circus earlier in the month of December. Check this out here. So Alex is asked about the secondary antagonists of the upcoming Avengers films. This has been something that has been a long-standing rumor. I've said this in other videos, but Dr. Doom is going to have lieutenants. He's going to have other people that work for him, similar to how Thanos had the Black Order in Infinity War. So check this out. Alex Perez says, it's funny, you assume that a movie of this magnitude only has one secondary antagonist. What I can tell you is that the secondary antagonists, whoever they may be, according to my sources, are going to be variant. There's going to be an overwhelming number of variants in these movies, a lot more of the characters set up to appear in these movies than from 616. Some are going to be good, some are going to be bad, and some are going to be really worse. And then down here, further clarification is given when Alex is asked, what role do you think Chris Evans will have in Avengers Doomsday? And Alex answers, one of the rumors I had heard for these films was that a lot of the actors might be pulling double duty when it comes to the characters they portray. Evans could be a prime example of that because he could be playing a number of characters in the upcoming films. One of them will definitely be Steve Rogers from the end of Endgame, who went on to live happily ever after with Peggy, who was recently confirmed to be coming back for Doomsday. The confirmation that she'll be Agent Carter rather than Captain Carter implies we'll be headed back to the timeline. I've also heard that Evans could portray another character in the movie that stands alongside RDJ's Dr. Doom. And ladies and gentlemen, we got him, because that is the exact answer right there that gives context to all of these different things. So let me kind of explain what's going on there with Alex's comment, and then we'll go through some past reports, and I'll kind of give you my take as to what is actually happening. So what Alex is saying there is that it is basically confirmed that Evans will be returning as Captain America from the end of Endgame. Now, what Alex is referring to there is Jeff Snyder's scoop about him returning as the Nomad character. And I've done entire videos on this Nomad situation. The thing that's interesting about Nomad is not so much that that's technically who Chris Evans was playing at the end of Endgame, but what's interesting about Nomad is that there have been a lot of rumors suggesting that we were going to get a Nomad show, and that show is going to see Chris Evans returning all the different Infinity Stones after Endgame. Remember when he gets on the platform and he's got all the stones in a briefcase and he's got Mjolnir? The Nomad show is heavily rumored to involve that character going on some kind of a journey to put those stones back. Now, Alex is seemingly implying that the character of Chris Evans, Nomad, that we will see in Doomsday is the one that then had a happy ending with Peggy Carter, and perhaps the events of Doomsday will be bringing Peggy Carter and that Chris Evans out of their timeline into the main 616 to try to help. But what's more interesting to me is the idea of these characters having dual roles. And I've made this point before, but Tony Stark, RDJ's Tony Stark, he's still absolutely coming back to the Marvel Cinematic Universe as well. For whatever reason, this news is completely flying under the radar, but in the wake of RDJ being announced as Dr. Doom, a lot of the scoopers said that, yeah, RDJ Iron Man is also coming back. And in fact, that character is going to have conversations with his RDJ Dr. Doom variant. And that automatically implies that something between these two characters, an evil variant of this guy and a good variant of this guy, they're going to have some kind of conversation, some kind of a conflict. And I believe that's actually core to the emotional beats that the Russos and McFeely are trying to put into these films. Alex goes on to talk about how he has heard that Chris Evans could portray another character that will stand alongside RDJ's Doctor Doom. And I've done a lot of content around how the idea of Hydra Captain America and Chris Evans playing an evil version of Steve Rogers is a huge rumor out there. You have to understand how Marvel Studios does what they do as far as their ideation and what they put into the different movies. They will often have these big ideas, these big concepts, and then they will try to fit them into different stories. And if it just doesn't feel right, they'll take it out and they'll save it for a different story down the line. And so the rumors of Nomad are very long-standing. The rumors of a Hydra variant of Captain America are long-standing, and that was supposedly going to be linked to some multiversal stuff. And if you take into consideration a lot of the stuff that Alex Perez has said in the past about how he believes these lieutenants of RDJ's Doctor Doom will end up being evil variants of the OG Avengers, and you consider that that's something that is probably really interesting to these actors. With RDJ specifically, he had said that he didn't want to just come back and put the jersey on, that it had to be more compelling. There had to be something else, character-wise, story-wise, for him to sink his teeth into to get excited about an MCU return. And I truly believe that Downey is excited to play Doctor Doom, to play basically an evil version of Iron Man. And I think a lot of the OG Avengers would also be really excited to have evil variants of what they played before as their sort of task. I mean, that is fun, man. It is fun to try to dig in as an actor, find some of the same themes that the good version of the character had and flip it, try to take it to a really twisted, really evil place. And I also believe that Marvel Studios is trying to do something interesting with the audience themselves. They're trying to have, when we go see these OG Avengers next, they are evil. They are variants of these heroes that we fell in love with that are now beating up the current heroes and doing some really messed up stuff. That is the perfect setup to really make the return of the OG Avengers in their heroic form feel satisfying. If RDJ's Doctor Doom just came to Earth and was whooping everybody up, and then all of a sudden Steve Rogers pops back up and Tony Stark pops back up, somehow Black Widow has returned, and then they just defeat Doctor Doom, that would feel cheap. That would feel pretty messed up. But if we first see evil versions of the Avengers, they work for RDJ Doctor Doom, they do all kinds of twisted evil stuff, then we, the audience, along with the other characters, will long for the actual heroic versions of those characters to show up. And so basically these new reports just confirm what was already rumored out there. I absolutely believe Hydra Captain America is on the way. I think when you see Scarlett Johansson in Avengers Doomsday, she's going to be an evil version of Natasha, and that's going to be sick. I think there could be an evil version of Hawkeye, an evil version of Hulk, an evil version of Thor. And I know there are a lot of people that are just worried that this is like break glass in case of emergency, that this is the Palpatine and Rise of Skywalker situation. But I promise you, everything I'm hearing behind the scenes, everything that I see in motion from the different rumors and the people that I talk to, all of that stuff has convinced me that what Marvel is cooking is deeper than that. This is the consideration that they're trying to have. They don't want it to feel like slop. They want it to come from a character place and a story place. And this is how they are setting that up. So of course, let me know what you think about all of this in the comment section below. And as I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.